Avengers Endgame is the highest grossing movie of all time. Can Avatar 2 surpass it?
Sure, it could. History suggests that betting against James Cameron is usually a bad bet. However, I have trouble imagining Avatar 2 becoming the highest grossing film of all time. Do you actually know anyone that is looking forward to the Avatar sequels? I haven't met such a person. Avatar was a cinematic phenomenon, but it didn't really embed itself into our culture. People went to see it because everyone was talking about its technical magnificence. They went to see it a second time to again experience that technical magnificence. They didn't see it for the writing or the performances. Review after review would refer to it as an impressive eye-candy ripoff of Ferngully. Its wooden star, Sam Worthington, went on to make other big-budget films and they all flopped terribly. In the last decade, he has not led another film to a successful box office. The 3D film experience has lost its luster, largely due to the fact that film after film has ignored what James Cameron did, and done the 3D poorly. Avatar came near the beginning of the 3D resurgence and it gave people hope. Cameron created an immersive world. He mastered the understanding that 3D isn't just having things rise out of the 2D screen, but also sink into the 2D screen. He filmed in true 3D and created an almost wholly rendered and yet photorealistic world so unlike our own that people were awed to see something so new and different. When Avatar came out, the home theater experience was becoming a threat to the cinema. Big screen TVs and surround sound made the theatrical experience less impressive. Avatar gave the audience an experience that they could only have in the theater, so they showed up in droves and then showed up again in droves, and each time they did so in 3D and IMAX 3D showings that cost 2 to 3 times as much. People paid for the spectacle. In the decades since, film after film cheated and instead of filming in 3D, did post-conversion of 2D films to 3D. It rarely provided the immersion of true 3D and audiences came to resent paying more for what was often a lackluster experience. They paid more to watch dim screens with 3D cutouts. They decided they didn't really think that experience was worth taking home either. While 8 years ago almost every expensive big screen TV trumpeted its ability to show 3D, today almost none do. Look around you. You don't see people wearing Avatar t-shirts. You don't see people collecting Avatar action figures. You don't see many Avatar memes. That world didn't become part of our culture. Search the internet for information about theme parks. People went nuts about the Harry Potter areas at Universal Studios. People are very excited about the Star Wars area at Disney. The Pandora area at Disney's Animal Kingdom opened 2 years ago and I've never seen or heard anyone talk about it. Pandora didn't become part of our culture, we weren't impressed with the story or the acting. We were impressed with the technical achievements, but we've become jaded against 3D and become used to impressive CGI characters like Thanos and Gollum. So, if Avatar 2, 3, 4, or 5 are to become the highest grossing movies of all time, what are they going to have to do? What technology can Cameron bring that will stun us? Can he give us something that is truly new and special, using the same world and actors he used before? Again, betting against Cameron is generally a bad idea, but I'm having trouble seeing how he can win the next hand. My prediction is roughly 0%. I think Avatar 2 will be lucky if it does half of what the original did. Frankly, I don't expect it to break $1 billion. Avatar made so much money not because it was some amazing film, or it had incredible writing and story, or highly enjoyable characters. It made so much money for one reason only, its visuals. It came at a time when almost no films were done in 3D, and those that were done as an afterthought in post-production. Avatar was made from its inception with 3D in mind, and capitalized on that technology to create a really beautiful film that demanded to be seen in theaters to get the full enjoyment. It was effectively similar to seeing films in color for the first time, and it was really the only one of its kind at the time, so it was able to capitalize on this, sitting in theaters for months. Its sequel doesn't get to benefit from this innovation. 3D is old hat now. Every blockbuster film comes out in 3D. What does the sequel bring to the table? Not really much. The story of the film was okay, but pretty cliché. The characters were not exactly memorable. Can you recall a single character's name? I have little doubt that it will be quite pretty, but that's really all it can claim, and I just don't think that's enough to make it worth seeing multiple times in theaters this go around. I expect it will do okay business, as some people will want to see what the fuss is about, but I think the chances of this film topping its predecessor, or Endgame, is basically nil. Answering on July 23rd. First of all, nowadays a lot of movies can hit the billion mark almost with no problem, so to say Avatar 2 won't even break $1 billion is just ridiculous. Not a 100% guarantee it will dethrone Avengers Endgame, but Avatar 2 is the only upcoming film that I can think that will have the most realistic chance of reclaiming the title of the highest grossing film globally from Endgame, unless they are other geniuses like Cameron that can make a movie with no prequel and hype be the highest grossing film. Main reason why is simply because it will be directed by a genius like James Cameron. Two of his movies hold the #1 and #2 spot for the highest grossing films of all time globally for the last 2 decades until now, and were standalone films, which makes it more impressive. He can do the impossible. Everyone at one point said Titanic, directed by Cameron, can't be beaten until Avatar, also directed by Cameron, unexpectedly dethroned Titanic. Same can happen to Endgame. Who knows what Avatar 2, also will be directed by Cameron, can bring to the table. Who knows exactly why James Cameron waited years to make Avatar 2, the longer the wait, the better it'll be. Haven't anyone noticed a pattern yet? All 3 of those films are 12 years apart. Titanic came out in 1997, first movie to reach $1 billion, Avatar in 2009, first movie to make $2 billion, Avatar 2 in 2021, also has a great chance to be the first to hit $3 billion. Never bet against Cameron, he never disappoints. I think it will. First of all, Avatar was a technological phenomenon for its time. It was shot using pioneering 3D technology that most studios deem is too costly. Its 3D showing was akin to a nearly 3-hour amusement park attraction. I find it unfortunate that younger audience can never fully appreciate it, as there are no more 3D theatrical screenings of the movie. Worse, most 3D movies nowadays aren't even shot in 3D anymore. The 3D effects are merely digitally added in post-production, which drastically waters down the effect. The upcoming Avatar sequel promises to be an even bigger technological phenomenon than the original. Not only is it shot with expensive 3D tech, but they have reportedly pioneered new 3D technology to make it even more mind-blowing than a decade ago. Secondly, it is being made by James Cameron. In addition to Avatar, Cameron also made Titanic, the 3rd highest grossing film of all time. Titanic was so big it grossed over $2 billion in the 90s. He has also made cult classics like Aliens, Terminator, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, True Lies and The Abyss. This filmmaking legend has been primarily working on the 4 Avatar sequels for the past decade or so. Hence, if he says Avatar is his masterpiece, older film fans like myself take notice. Lastly, the Avatar sequels will be released by Disney, which has released 12 of the 20 highest grossing movies of all time. Suffice it to say, Disney has very high standards for a blockbuster. In addition to working with Cameron in developing Pandora, World of Avatar for Disney World, they have probably studied Cameron's progress into the films. While most of 20th Century Fox's movies in development were shut down by Disney, they not only greenlit the next 4 Avatar sequels, they gave them their prime Christmas time slot for year 2021, 2023, 2025 and 2027. If Disney has this much faith in these movies, they must really look great.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future also. Don't forget to like and subscribe to you never miss a video.